Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Jazz and Pros TV. So in today's video, I want to talk about the movie Straw. You heard that right. Tyler Perry's new movie Straw on Netflix. So if you have not seen that movie, you want to stop this video, click off, save it for later, go watch the movie and then come back, okay? So yeah, spoiler alert, I'm talking about Straw and I'm talking about it from an author's perspective, a literature lover's perspective, a reading teacher's perspective, specifically in relation to my previous video, which is developing strong characters. Okay, so we're going to use the characters from the movie Straw for me to kind of talk about it and show you guys when you're creating characters. We'll wait for the sound. Really? When you're creating characters, there's a lot of thought that goes into creating them. Okay, so uh, let's just go ahead and start about the plot. So the plot is about a woman who is just has horrible luck. She does not work a job that pays a lot of money. She has a lot of missed bills. She has a daughter who's really sick. She's a single mother. She has no one, her family. She doesn't trust her family. She said her mother and her sister was crazy. So, in order for this story to end the way that it ended, there are certain things that the writers had to set up for us to make it believable, right? So let's start with our main character, Janiah. Okay, Janiah W. Okay, I think it's Wilkerson or something like that. Okay, so Janiah is a single mother. Okay, the movie starts off with showing us her environment. Okay, and if you watched my previous video, if you haven't, you want to watch that video too. Um, Socioeconomics. I told y'all it plays a huge role because when we talk about character motivation and what drives a character to make certain choices, usually money has a lot to do with it. Okay, so she does not have a lot of money. She's behind on her rent. She has super high bills for her daughter's medical issues. Her daughter, $40 for lunch was continuously brought up in the movie, and it tie that to a mother who wants to make sure that her child is not being teased. Okay, so at school by the teacher. Okay, so all of that is enough to make somebody snap. Okay, so essentially that is what happened. So we see that with Janiah, um, Tyler Perry and the writers, they showed us all of her problems. We saw that play out before she made a choice. I'm not going to spoil too much, okay? But before she made two really big choices that really kind of put her in the predicament that she was in throughout the movie, okay? And here's the thing, as a creative person, whether you are an author, if you write scripts for movies or plays, when you're creating your characters, you want to evoke emotion in your reader or your viewer. Okay. So Janiah is a character that millions of people can empathize with. Okay. There's so many Janiahs out here in the world. So many. Okay. Um, and as a woman in America who had to, had stuff, lost it all, rebuilt, I get it. I get it. Okay. So that's important. Okay. Because if you are writing to really go down in history, for a memorable piece of work, having something that your audience can relate to is super important. So Janiah is someone who a lot of people can relate to. Okay, so that's that. Now let's talk about additional characters. Okay, let's talk about Tiana Taylor, detective. I don't remember her name, but she was one of the lead detectives there. The way they set that up was brilliant, and it's a great example of having characters who are kind of intertwined. Okay, so here we have Janiah, who's a single mother who has a daughter who would sacrifice everything for her child, right? Then we have Tiana Taylor's character, who is the detective, who has that empathy for her. Because without Tiana Taylor, the story would have ended completely different. So having characters put in place to make the story move forward the way you want it to is very important. A lot of the times, I say this all the time, the characters will write the story for you. If you do enough research and planning your characters, they're going to write the story for you. Tiana Taylor had a mother like Janiah. That is what motivated her to fight for her with those FBI agents and everybody else. Had Tiana Taylor's character not had that background that the author or the writer created, the story would have played out completely different. So this is why I think characters are super important when it comes to a story. Okay. Um so then we had Sherry Shepherd, the teller. She was a huge role in this too, because if you think about it, setting. Because of Sherry Shepherd, Janiah opened that bank account there. So Sherry Shepherd was a huge part in this, okay? Because Janiah knew her. She had seen her come into that bank. And also Tessa. Now, oh Lord, now Tessa, girl. Now we all know what Tessa. She got on my nerves. And you know who else got on my nerves? Was the manager. But we know that there are people like that who exist who don't care about diddly squat. Diddly, not diddy. Diddly squat, okay? They don't care. That was important though, because that pushed Janiah to make the choices, her character make those choices that she did. I was yelling at the TV. Tyler has a way of doing that. He has a way of doing that to make us yell at that TV. Because girl, the way I would have took that check, there wouldn't have been a story. I would have took that check. What you mean you're not gonna give me my check? I'm gonna take that check. Excuse me? Yeah. So that manager, he pissed me off. Sir, excuse me? I didn't work. First of all, who you talking to? Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Who are you talking to, sir? So yeah, and that's this right here is what Tyler does. He has a way, they say that all the time, like they're like, oh, all the men in Tyler Perry movies are devils, like they always say that, but in this case, yeah, because he got on my nerves. But anyway, the characters are super important, okay, and it was also important for excuse me, the people who knew her. Was that Sinbad? I think that was Sinbad in there in the wheelchair. Oh my God, we're getting old, guys. That was Sinbad. But they spoke to her character, like Janiah's character as a person in Straw. They spoke to her and they were able to say, no, this is not the type of person she is. She's a good person, because they knew her. And it was important that they showed that on film when she went back and she gave him her last. That was important. Okay, because it showed us, wait a minute, maybe, she's a good person who's doing something bad for a good cause. It happens. And that's what makes a story amazing. As an author, it is our job, okay? When we teach author's purpose, I'm a teacher as well. So when we teach author's purpose, they think of pie, okay? So are we, what are we doing here, right? So I think this was obviously a cautionary tale. Okay, I mean, Janiah even said it she said it was one sentence. You got to pay attention. It was one sentence she said. You got to be careful who you have a baby by. Y'all got to did you catch it? Did you catch it? That man wasn't nowhere to be found in the movie, in the script. I mean, nobody said anything about her daddy. But if we backtrack and we think about her story, her backstory, all that she struggled with, where's that man? So for me, it was a cautionary tale. Be careful who you have a baby with. Okay, because a lot of this could have been avoided. Okay, so it speaks to what a lot of people struggle with. I would say single parents. I won't say just single mothers because men go through, stuff where the woman is not doing anything as well. But you have to be careful. And what is the takeaway here, right? The takeaway for me as well. I'm switching into review mode now. Um, is that be kind. You never know what a person is going through. I mean, she had horrible luck going in, the people in the line trying to use that EBT card on beer and stuff like that, and she was just trying to follow the rules and say, hey, you can't use that on that. And the lady cursed her out through the glass. Press charges. I would have pressed charge. Excuse me. Run that clip back. Okay. That was the first thing. Her manager was a complete demon to her. Okay. Then she got hit by a cop. Okay. Now, that is so good right there. Let's talk about that really quickly as his character. He was a person in power who abused his power. He is supposed to be protecting citizens. And here he is running into a citizen. We saw from his perspective based on his speech. Okay, now in my upcoming book, I'm going to teach y'all something about when you're creating your characters, use the still strategy. His speech, he was very mean to her, very aggressive. His thoughts, he was like, oh, you're gonna pay for this. You're gonna wish you never left home. The effects on others, she was terrified. She had to get her car impounded. That other police was scared of him. Okay, A is for action. Look what he did. He ran into the back of her. And then the looks, he looked like, his facial expressions was just me. So you'll find out more about the still strategy in my upcoming book. Guys, I don't know when it's going to be released. I'm working on it. I have so many projects, but the project that I'm working on the most right now is Mad Justice. It is going to be out in October of 2025. I have to get it done. Okay. So in that book, Mad Justice, Janiah's character is very similar to a character in Mad Justice, the mother of Eric. I talked about Eric in the previous video, so if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. And I talked about socioeconomics, how his mother works 2 jobs just to put food on the table, very similar to Janiah. Okay, and Eric's mother, in Mad Justice, she has a very small character. Really, her son is the one who I'm giving a lot of information through, but Janiah is very similar to Eric's mother from Mad Justice. And it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter how small a character is in the story, it can make a huge difference. So each character that you are writing, for the most part, they need to have a well fleshed out background in order for the story to move along. This is how a lot of the times, and I will say probably I'm not a big Marvel and Avengers fan, but I think the reason they're so great and popular is because from what I've seen, don't I know they got super fans, but those characters sometimes get their own stories, right? Like Ant-Man and Iron Man. At one point, they were all in the same story, and then they each branch off and get their own. And you can flesh that out and really see that. Another good example of this is Wicked. I tell my students this all the time. When I was 16, I went to New York with the art club, and we saw Wicked on Broadway. Changed my life when it comes to perspective. Alphaba. Oh my God. Like, she had her own story. So it doesn't matter what role they're playing in the story. Flesh out their background. Flesh out how did they become who they are today in the book, right? And when you do that, your story's going to take off. Your novel's going to take off. And if you are analyzing a story and figuring out who these characters are, pay attention to the characters. What are they saying? What are they thinking? How are others affected by them? Okay, what are they doing? And then how do they look? Because we know Janiah looked worn out, baby. She had a silk pressed ponytail in the beginning, and then the rain happened, and then it went back, reverted to her curly state. So all of that plays a part. She was wet, drenched a lot of the times, and that shows us that she didn't have time to go back home to change. That matters, especially for detectives and police. Like, they pay attention to those types of details. Okay. So guys, that's it for today. I just wanted to come on. I literally just finished watching the movie Straw. I was working out. I saw a Facebook post like, oh my gosh, Straw. I was like, it's out. So I watched it. It was great. If you haven't seen it, I hope you have, because I talked about it a lot in this video with a lot of spoilers. But come back to this video so we can talk in the chat, guys. What do you think about Straw? What would you rate it? I give it a 5 stars. I think it is so important to show these stories. Okay, sometimes in a sense of the mundane and just going deeper into, a person who we might walk by in the grocery store or somewhere, they have a story, and there was also a really 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 ooh good twist at the end of that movie. God, I was like, no, no, it was so good. So guys, watch Straw. Come back, put it in the chat. Okay. If you haven't seen the movie, like I said, I'm so sorry. But I'm sure if you've made it to this part, like, you would have watched it, because I told y'all this was a spoiler. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to another video with Jazz and Pros. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share. We can see these followers up. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you are an author and you would like to be interviewed, go ahead and send us an email at jazzandpros@gmail.com, and we will see you in the next video. Welcome to